Good evening, everybody. It is Andrew here. And we're gonna be doing a Midwest severe weather update again. This is gonna be for July 14th through July 16th. So basically, it's going to be from Wednesday morning into Friday morning. We'll on to the first slide. Here's the severe probabilities for the whole Midwest. So our overall severe threat is at a 3 out of 5. Your overall tornado threat is at a 2 out of 5. Your overall damaging wind threat's at a 3 out of 5, and your overall large hail threat is at a 2 out of 5. Moving on to the moving on to Illinois severe weather probabilities, your overall, and it's basically the same as Iowa: 3 out of 5 for severe, 2 out of 5 for tor, and 3 out of 5 for damaging wind, 2 out of 5 for hail. Again, if you want to pause here, you can read off the severe probabilities explanation. So this is level 0, level 1, and level 2. Here's level 3, and here's level 4. If you want to read these yet again, go read them. Here's level 6, or not 6, 5. Pause again if you want to read. So here's our unofficial outlook. So there is an enhanced risk of severe weather in place across portions of Minnesota, Iowa, northern Illinois, a good chunk of Wisconsin, and a decent amount of Iowa. I accidentally skipped ahead. Here's your tornado threat. So in that dark red area, you could see a few tornadoes and potentially a 1 or 2 stronger ones. Now, the strong tornado part is going to really depend on if the environment can kind of recover after the morning MCS. In the lower end tornado zone, this is where a couple tornadoes cannot be ruled out. And this is going to be valid from July 14th to the 16th, but that's 12Z, so it's basically Wednesday morning through Friday morning. Now Wednesday is the time period with the dark red. The other red is for all days. Here's your hail. So in that, I meant to put a darker green out there, but the green isn't that dark. So in that sort of darker green, highest large hail threat, that's where scattered large hail will be possible. In the lighter green, isolated instances of it will be possible, and this is more of a secondary threat. It'll be more of a threat with their supercell thunderstorms more than anything. Damaging wind gusts. In that blue area, highest damaging wind threat, semi-widespread wind gusts are possible, with isolated significant gusts being possible as well. And some of that blue area does include areas that aren't in the enhanced because of the next day's convection potentially being significant. That's going to be where your highest damaging wind risk is going to be for both days. Isolated to scatter damaging wind gusts will be possible in the lighter blue area as well, with a couple significant gusts cannot be ruled out. Discussion. I'm also going to subtract Epic Pen and move it down here. A potentially significant severe weather setup is forecast across the Midwest into the Ohio Valley Wednesday through Friday morning. Wednesday, a morning MCS may potentially come around, which could limit severe potential. That is uncertain at this time. Nonetheless, moderate instability is expected to set up Wednesday across the region with mixed layered Cape valleys of 1,500 to 2,500 joules per kilogram likely. Deep layer shear is likely also going to be in the 35 to 55 knot range. And that deep layer shear is going to help organize the potential for supercells and linear segments. Supercells will be most likely along a warm front that is looking to set up across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois. A few tornadoes, potentially a stronger one, scatter damaging wind gusts, and scatter large hail will be the primary threats with those storms. Along the cold front and maybe even more of the other risk, a linear storm was expected. Semi-widespread damaging wind gusts, isolated large hail, and a couple tornadoes will be possible throughout the night in that area. A strong low-level jet will also increase the damaging wind and tornado risk throughout Wednesday night. And given the parameters some models show, a stronger tornado cannot be ruled out Wednesday. Thursday, severe weather is possible across the Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley. Again, moderate instability is expected, but this time the wind shear will be lower. This will cause the storms to be a little bit less not disorganized, organized. Nonetheless, scatter damaging wind gusts may be a significant 1 or 2. Isolated large hail and potentially a couple brief tornadoes will be possible. And again, stay weather aware if you are in the risks. Timing for Illinois. So Wednesday afternoon into Friday morning will be the timing. Timing for Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin. Wednesday morning into Thursday morning. Now, Some of the convection, especially in like Iowa and Wisconsin, you guys might see severe weather into Thursday afternoon as well. Timing for Missouri and Kansas is going to be Wednesday night into Friday morning. Timing for Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, it's going to be Thursday morning into Friday morning. Now, here we are. We're going to be getting into the model guidance now, and I actually did include models this time. So here is the HRRR model. So this is going to be 7 p.m. So it shows a couple storms forming across Iowa, potentially supercellular. Warm front potentially being supercellular here and here. Now at this point, it shows linear stuff, but it does show looks like a broken line. So you're probably going to have a couple embedded supercells here. Here looks like more of a consolidated line, still a tornado threat. This run showed the highest tornado threat being in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin there. But it showed a secondary target up in Illinois. Damn, that's at 8 p.m. This is not supposed to be Eastern, it's supposed to be Central. I did have a few errors with this. But it shows scattered thunderstorm development, and this does eventually grow into a large MCS. Primary threats, but the damn nest are all hazards as well. The HRW, or the ARW, it shows a couple supercells with a big storm mode along with Boeing segments as well. This was a supercell, it's dying at this point. Here's the NSSL. It has a supercell across northern Illinois too. It has also a few severe storms across Iowa. And those would probably be the main tornadic producers. Here's the FV3, and it shows a wide variety of storms. So it's a Boeing segment in portions of Michigan, Illinois, and Wisconsin, and it wants some supercells along the warm front in Iowa and Wisconsin, and not Wisconsin, in Minnesota. The NAM, it wants some convection in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and wants another area in Wisconsin, and wants some more in Iowa. Here's a forecast sounding off the HRRR. This is where this is going to get a little bit more complicated, so if you are less advanced, you might want to kind of click off at this point, or listen in if you want to become more advanced, because I'm going to explain this. So, this is called a forecast sounding. What you really want to look at is your skew T and your hodograph. Your hodograph is here, and your skew T is this big old thing right here. So, in the hodograph, we can see it is curved. It is going to be curved enough to have a tornado threat as well, and I didn't mean to go to the NAM nest there. We're going to go back to the HRRR. It has a pretty nice curve with the hodograph. Now, it does kind of veer back a little bit. Now, that's called, the venting isn't very good, and what that means is you're going to get high precipitation storm modes. Your LCL, this is how low the cloud bases are, and this would favor tornadoes because they're connected. This is where your instability would be located, and there's a decent amount. This is going to help kind of steepen your lapse rates, this dry spike right here. Your instability is going to be right here, and there's also instability in here as well. And here's your wind shear values. So looking at the wind shear box, it looks decent. Decent low-level shear, decent mid-level shear, and upper-level shear as well. And you can see that noticing these wind barbs right here. Also, looking at the surface is out of the due south. At 6 kilometer, it's out of the mostly to the west. That's going to create turning with the storms, and that's going to create a tornado threat because you're going to have those rotating updrafts. Onto the NAM 3 kilometer, it's pretty similar, except it has a higher amount of instability. And I do think this is a bit exaggerated with the instability. The lapse rates look to be rather realistic. The hodograph looks a bit different. Still favorable though. Decent wind shear throughout this. There's a little bit more upper level wind shear with this one, and a little more mid level and a little less upper level with this one too, which is interesting. Very low cloud bases, which would provide potential for tornadoes as well. It seems like with this sounding, all hazards would be possible, and it also has more southeasternlies at the surface and more due westernlies in that area. That would create even more turning. Let's move on to the ARW. It wants a smaller hodograph, but a more larger kind of... It wants a little bit more of a smaller hodograph, but a longer looping one. It also has similar instability to the HRRR, except a little bit less mid-level lapse rates, which Are the temperatures falling in height? They don't fall in height as much. They fall in height pretty decently in the low levels here. Look at that, but they don't fall in height as much in the mid levels, which causes the lapse rates to be a little bit more lackluster. The wind shear is pretty decently high though, which might make up for it. And the mixed layer cape with the sounding, which is noted here, is 1,200, which is low for the summertime. Here's the NSSL. It has probably the best case scenario, weather geek wise. It has some decent temperatures falling in height here in the middle levels. It also wants some temperatures falling in height in the low levels. Has a lot higher instability noted here with this in between the red and white lines. Has good wind shear in the low levels and really strong virulent winds. Has a large hodograph here as well. And it also has some strong low-level shear upwards of around 20 knots. A little bit over, actually. And downdraft cape right here. Downdraft cape indicates the potential for damaging wind gusts usually, and the potential for outflow dominant storms. So once this grows upscale or maybe becomes outflow dominant, damaging wind gusts would be likely with this. Here's the FV3. This is gonna. And also, I have the locations on these. Let me go back. So the HRRR sign is for Rochester, Minnesota. This is for Fort Dodge, Iowa, and the ARW is for Rochester, Minnesota, or in that area. And this is the NSSL, and this is near Des Moines. Now the FV3, this is gonna be near Fort Dodge. The FV3 wants a very large hodograph here, and it wants steep instability noted between the red and white lines, like I said earlier. It wants some decently steep lapse rates. Again, the temperature's falling in height, and that large hodograph, that's the largest hodograph out of any model. It wants that tornado threat to be a lot higher than some of the other models. It doesn't have as much downdraft cape either. The NAM model. This model wants a lot higher instability than what is probably going to happen. Now, if that morning convection doesn't occur, which is definitely possible, it doesn't confirm, but morning convection is likely from tonight's round of storms. If that morning convection doesn't occur, then this is somewhat possible. The only thing that I'm concerned about is that the temperatures don't really fall. The temperatures don't really fall with height or rise, or what's it called? Temperatures don't really go down with height as much as they do as much in the low level as much as in the middle levels, but in the low levels they really do. They go down from 35 degrees Celsius or so to around 20 degrees Celsius. And the hodograph looks very large on this model, and the instability is also there. That is it for this one. Make sure to stay weather aware, and this is probably going to be the last video for a while unless I do tomorrow.